Right now, while you're watching this video, there's an invisible number attached to your name in government databases. It's $106,637. That's your share of something most Americans never think about until it's too late. Welcome to the US Unseen. I'm here to show you the financial realities hiding in plain sight. Hit subscribe if you want to understand what's really happening to your money and your future. Here's what nobody talks about. Back in the year 2000, America almost paid off its entire national debt. Economists were celebrating, politicians were making victory speeches, and then they ran the numbers on what would actually happen if we succeeded. The results? Economic chaos, global financial collapse, a disaster so massive that we deliberately chose to stay in debt instead. Today I'm showing you why America needs to owe money to survive, and what happens when that system breaks down. Let me walk you through where your tax dollars actually disappear to. Every year, America spends about $6.8 trillion. Think of it like a massive household budget, except this household has 330 million people and the most expensive military on Earth. The biggest chunk, $1.5 trillion, goes to Social Security. That's money for your grandparents, your parents, and hopefully someday, you. Another $839 billion funds Medicare. Healthcare for seniors who've already paid into the system their whole lives. But here's where it gets interesting. Last year, something unprecedented happened. America spent $881 billion on something that produces absolutely nothing. We're not building roads. We're not funding schools. We're not even buying weapons. We're paying interest on money we borrowed years ago. If that sounds insane to you, leave a comment below, because it gets worse. You're 25 years old today. By the time you're ready to retire, there will be 82 million Americans over age 65. Right now, there are only 58 million. That's 24 million more people needing Social Security and Medicare benefits. Meanwhile, the number of working Americans supporting them, growing much slower. Here's the math that should keep you awake at night. Today, about 2.8 workers support each retiree. By 2050, it'll be closer to 2.3 workers per retiree. And here's the kicker nobody mentions in the news. Most of our population growth comes from people moving here from other countries. If immigration slows down, those numbers get much worse, much faster. Drop your age in the comments and I'll tell you exactly how this affects your retirement. So how did we end up owing $37 trillion? It's actually a fascinating story of good intentions and terrible timing. First, we had the 2008 financial crisis. Banks were collapsing. Regular people were losing their homes. So the government stepped in with $700 billion in bank bailouts and another $787 billion in stimulus money. Then, just as we were recovering from that, COVID hit. Since 2020, we've spent $4.7 trillion keeping businesses alive, people fed, and the economy from completely imploding. At the same time, and this is crucial, we've been collecting less money from taxes. In the 1950s, wealthy Americans paid about 42% of their income in taxes after all the deductions and loopholes. Today, they pay somewhere between 26% and 28%. So we're spending more during emergencies while collecting less during normal times. You can probably see where this is heading. Now here's where this story gets really wild. 24 years ago, America was actually running budget surpluses. We were making more money than we spent for 3 years straight. Economists started asking a serious question. What if we actually paid off the entire national debt? They built computer models. They ran scenarios. They consulted with experts around the world. The conclusion shocked everyone. It would be an economic catastrophe. This is the kind of hidden financial reality that the US Unseen exists to expose. Make sure you're subscribed because this gets even more mind-bending. Here's what they discovered. American debt isn't just money we owe. It's actually the foundation that holds up the entire global financial system. Every time you hear about the treasury bonds or government securities, that's just a fancy way of saying pieces of American debt. And guess what? Everyone wants to own these pieces. The Federal Reserve owns $4.5 trillion worth. That's how they control interest rates and prevent inflation from spiraling out of control. Your Social Security system owns almost $3 trillion worth. That's where your future retirement money is invested right now. Banks around the world own hundreds of billions more. It's literally the safest place they can put money. Even foreign countries are in on this. Japan owns over $1 trillion of our debt. China owns $759 billion. The UK owns $723 billion. Here's the crazy part. If America paid off all its debt, all these treasury bonds would disappear overnight. So what would it actually take to pay off $37 trillion? Option 1. Cut spending on everything. Social security, Medicare, military, roads, schools, hospitals. Basically, dismantle the government except for debt payments. Option 2. Raise everyone's taxes to somewhere between 60% and 70%. Imagine keeping only 30 cents of every dollar you earn. Option 3. Print $37 trillion in new money. This would make our currency worthless and turn America into Zimbabwe, where people literally used wheelbarrows full of cash to buy groceries. None of these options end well for regular Americans, but here's what should really worry you about our current situation. In 2025, something happened that had never happened before in modern history. When the stock market got volatile, international investors didn't rush to buy American Treasury bonds like they always had. Instead, they pulled their money out of America, looking for safety somewhere else. That's never happened before, ever. Credit rating agencies have started downgrading America's financial credibility for the first time since 1917. 11 countries have stopped using American dollars for their national reserves. The dollar's dominance in global trade has dropped from 70% to 58% over the past 25 years. Here's the truth that most politicians won't tell you. The problem isn't that we have debt. The problem is how much debt we have compared to how much money our economy actually produces. Right now, our debt is about 124% of our total economic output. That's like someone making $50,000 a year owing $62,000 on credit cards. It's not impossible to manage, but it's getting dangerous. The goal shouldn't be zero debt. That would break the global financial system. The goal should be getting our debt back down to a manageable percentage of our economic growth. So what does all this mean for your actual life? Higher interest rates on mortgages, car loans, and credit cards as the government competes with you for borrowed money. Potential cuts to Social Security and Medicare as the system gets overwhelmed by demographics. Higher taxes or reduced government services as politicians try to balance the budget. But also potential economic chaos if other countries lose faith in American financial stability. The bottom line is this: America's debt situation isn't necessarily a crisis today, but it could become one very quickly if we don't start managing it better. That's exactly why the US Unseen exists, to help you understand these financial realities before they hit the headlines and affect your wallet. If this video changed how you think about government debt, subscribe for more hidden truths about America's economy. Hit that like button if you learned something new, and let me know in the comments what surprised you most about America's debt situation. Thanks for watching the US Unseen, where we uncover the economic forces shaping your future. Stay informed, stay questioning, and I'll see you in the next video.